Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. This is Scott Manning coming to you live from Scott Manning YouTube Sports Talk. It is now time for my college football wrap-up show. I want to thank all of you guys for being with me here tonight on this late night. We've had a long day in college football. I've got a lot of games I want to talk about. I'm going to hand out some awards. I'm going to hand out Game of the Day awards, and I'm going to hand out some game balls. So stick with me for about the next half hour. We're going to have a great show. And you guys, let's have a great show. Let's have fun with it. And we're going to go from here. Let's enjoy. The game you just saw, Ohio State took care of TCU 40-28. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Early on, it did not look good for a while. I mean, at one point, Ohio State was down 21-13. The OSU defense did a lot of the damage. They had 2 defensive touchdowns tonight. They had a pick 6, and Nick Bosa knocked the ball, sacked the quarterback, and all of a sudden, Ohio State fell on into the end zone for a touchdown early in the ball game. If it weren't for those 2 defensive stops, TCU would have knocked us off 28-26. There were some questionable calls in that game. I'm not going to worry about it now, but that's past history. But let's think about this for a second. Dwayne Haskins, 24-38, 344 yards, career high for him, and he had 2 touchdown passes tonight. J.K. Dobbins, 18 carries, 121 yards tonight. Mike Weber, 18 carries, 64 yards. K.J. Hill, 6 catches, 95 yards, and he had a touchdown. Paris Campbell, 2 receptions, 66 yards, and a touchdown. What a performance for the Ohio State offense. But there was some bad news on the defensive side. Nick Bosa left the game in the third quarter with an abdominal strain. He's going to be all right though. But if I was Coach Urban Meyer, I would sit Bosa out for the next game against Tulane. And I would save Bosa for the battle against Penn State in 2 weeks. But I'm going to say this now. My hat's off to Ryan Day. You won the first 3 ball games, man. My hat's off to you, sir. You took over an Ohio State program that was in a world of hurt when we thought we were in trouble when Urban Meyer got suspended. This was the game that had everybody worried. But I'm going to tell you right now, my hats go off to TCU. Sean Robinson, 24-40, 308 yards. He had a touchdown, but he got picked off twice. Darius Anderson, 12 carries, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. Jalen Rieger, 7 catches, 98 yards. Trevante Heights, 2 catches, 57 yards, and a touchdown. Hats off to TCU. They threw everything at Ohio State. They threw everything at the Buckeyes, and they couldn't get the job done still. So my hats go off to TCU. 21-13. They had us down. They had Ohio State down 21-13 at one point, and we still came back and won the ball game. And so my hats go off to TCU, and also too, my hats go off to Ryan Day. For number 1, keeping the Buckeyes focused on football instead of worrying about Urban Meyer, and number 2, leading the Buckeyes off to a 3-0 start, despite not having the head coach for the first 3 games. The good news is, Urban's back next week against Tulane. And if I was Urban Meyer, the first decision I would make, I would sit Nick Bosa out for the game against Tulane and save him for the showdown in Happy Valley against Penn State. And keep this in mind, Penn State put 63 on the board against Kent State today. So let's think about it. So that's something to think about. James Franklin's got his guys ready for the showdown in 2 weeks. I know that's 2 weeks from now. However, this was a big victory for Ohio State. And look at the numbers. I looked at the numbers for this ball game. It was incredible that we won. Ohio State, on first downs, Ohio State had 29. TCU had 22. Third down, that's where the Buckeyes had all the trouble. Ohio State only converted 4 of 12 on third down. TCU went 7 of 15, and they started red hot, converting the first 5 of 7 to start the ball game. Total yards for the game, both offenses, take your hats off to them. 1,037 yards total offense. Ohio State had 526 to TCU's 511. Penalties, very close. Ohio State only had 5 of 39 to TCU's 5 of 40. Turnovers, that is what killed TCU tonight, guys. TCU had 3 turnovers, and 2 of them 2 had interceptions. The other turnover was a Nick Bosa The other turnover was a shovel pass that he tried. Oh, wait a minute here. Okay, let me back up. Sean Robinson had 2 interceptions in the ball game. And the other turnover was in the end zone when Nick Bosa knocked the ball out of Sean Robinson's hand in the first quarter. That's what led to the other score. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself, and I'm just so happy that the Buckeyes escaped, because this game was the one that scared everybody, bottom line. And I'm going to say this now to Ohio State Nation. We survived the first 3 games without Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer's coming back. That's the best news of all. And we have a game against Tulane, and then in 2 weeks, on the 29th, we have the showdown against Penn State in Happy Valley. Let's get some revenge for what happened 2 years ago. Shall we? Yes, we should. Shall we? We shall. Bottom line. Okay. If you think this game was crazy, Ohio State having to come from behind to beat TCU early in the third quarter and after winning this ball game, you think this game was crazy, it's happened, folks. We had 2 upsets in college football today. BYU, Brigham Young University, knocked off number 6 Wisconsin. How in the world did BYU do it? They beat Wisconsin at their own game. I mean, they played Wisconsin football. So BYU beat them at their own game. And the sad part about this is, I'm looking at the numbers. Wisconsin had controlled the ball for 34 minutes. What in the world happened? Well, let me give you an idea. And this is how I'm going to tell you how BYU did it. Tanner Mangum, 12 of 22 for 89 yards. That was it. Squally Canada, 11 carries, 118 yards, 2 touchdowns. Moroni Putatau, I don't know how you pronounce his last name, but it's close enough for me for tonight. 3 catches, 33 yards, and a touchdown. BYU didn't play fancy football. They played Wisconsin kind of football. And the bottom line is, this was a big victory tonight, a major victory for BYU today. Wisconsin's playoff hopes are now almost gone. 41 straight home game, and also this is the sad part, a 41 straight home game winning streak against non-conference opponents was snapped today. And here's the sad part. Raphael Gedanimus missed a 42-yard field goal that could have won the game with 40 seconds left. This is how in the world did BYU do it? Listen to these numbers and you're thinking, there's no way they should have won this ball game. Let's think about this. First downs, Wisconsin had 20, BYU 14. Third down, I think this is where third down was the big trouble down for both teams today. BYU went 3 of 9 on third down, while Wisconsin went 4 of 13. Total yards for the game, Wisconsin controlled that, 394 to 311. Penalties, BYU had that. Well, they were only penalized 4 times for 36 yards, while Wisconsin was penalized 6 times for 33 yards. 1 lone turnover by Wisconsin. That was it. And you know the sad part about this is, Wisconsin controlled the ball for 34 minutes, and they blew it. That's what happened today. The Wisconsin Badgers couldn't get anything going today against BYU. That is why BYU pulled off the upset of the year. This, in my opinion, is a Game of the Day nominee. If you look at the replays and look at everything, BYU goes into Camp Randall in Madison, knocks off the number 6 team in the country. That was a game worth writing home about. And if you think this game was crazy, let's think about this one. Number 12 LSU, number 7 Auburn. Auburn had a 21-10 lead in the third quarter. LSU came back and won it on a Cole Tracy 42-yard game-winning field goal at the end. Joe Burrow, the former Ohio State transfer, 15 of 34, 249 yards and a touchdown. Nick Brossette, 19 carries, 69 yards. Justin Jefferson, 8 receptions, 97 yards. Derek Dillon, he only had 1 reception for 71 yards, but it was a touchdown pass. Jared Steindom, now that was for Auburn. Now that was for LSU, I mean. For Auburn, Jared Steindom, 16 of 28, 198 yards, a touchdown, but he was picked off twice. And Javarius Whitlow, 22 carries, 104 yards, and a touchdown run. Like I said, Auburn had a 21-10 lead in the third quarter. LSU won the first down battle 21-19. On third down, LSU converted 7 of 19 on third down to Auburn's 4 for 12. Total yards, LSU 370 to 328. Penalties and the turnovers is what killed Auburn. Auburn was penalized 9 times for 111 yards, and they had 2 turnovers late in the game. And Auburn only had the ball for 24 minutes, 56 seconds. LSU controlled the second half. They had the ball for 35 minutes total in that ball game. LSU coach Ed Orgeron was so happy to go into Auburn and stop Gus Malzahn at his own game. Ed Orgeron, my hat's off to you. Joe Burrow, my hat's off to you. And also, too, Alabama just humiliated Ole Miss 62-7 tonight. And I'm going to tell you this now. If both these teams could stay undefeated going into the showdown on November 3rd in Death Valley, what a matchup that's going to be. And that game will be in Death Valley at LSU. Keep that in mind, folks, because I'm going to tell you right now, this was a game. LSU beat Auburn 22-21. So numbers 6 and 7 in the country go down today. That was huge. And let me tell you something. This has been a crazy week. And nobody saw it. I knew today was going to be crazy, but I didn't think it was going to be this crazy. And I'm going to tell you now, there will be some major shakeups in the top 10 in the college football rankings. And that's all there is to it. Now, I said number 6 and 7 went down in the country. We almost had 6, 7, and 8 go down today. Notre Dame, number 8 Notre Dame barely survived Vanderbilt today, 22-17. Brandon Wimbush, he was only 13 of 23 for 122 yards. However, he carried the ball 19 times for 84 yards and he had a touchdown. Tony Jones Jr., 17 carries, 118 yards. That was basically all the offense for Notre Dame that they had. For Vanderbilt, and my hats go off to Vanderbilt. They made a game of it. Kyle Schumer, 26 of 43, 326 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Keyshawn Vaughn, he carried the ball 10 times for 54 yards and a touchdown today. Jared Pinky, 5 receptions, 111 yards and a touchdown. The numbers for this game were fairly close. Notre Dame had 24 first downs to Vanderbilt's 23. On third down, both teams completed 5 third downs. Vanderbilt was 5 for 13. Notre Dame was 5 for 15. Vanderbilt owned the total yards battle, 420 to 380. Penalties. Notre Dame was penalized 6 times for 63 yards to Vanderbilt's 5 times for 60 yards. But this is what killed Vanderbilt. Turnovers. Vanderbilt turned the ball over 3 times to Notre Dame's none. And time of possession was very, very close. And I'm going to tell you now, ladies and gentlemen, these games that I've mentioned today were worth the price of admission. And I'm going to be honest with you. If somebody would have saw this coming, I would not have believed it. But the bottom line is, Notre Dame barely survived. And let's think about this for a minute. How will Notre Dame fare coming up when the new polls come out next Monday? Because Stanford beat UC Davis big 30-10. So there's a lot to think about there too. And I'm going to say it now. You think that was crazy? What a day it was. Now, I rarely talk about non-conference matchups, and I rarely talk about 2 teams that are unranked. But I got to today. But I have to. But I just absolutely have to. Troy University knocked off Nebraska today, 24-19. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because this is the once proud Nebraska Cornhusker program. This used to be one of the best programs in the country. Let's think about this. For Troy today, Caleb Barker, 14-21 for 110 yards, and he was intercepted once. B.J. Smith carried the ball 11 times for 70 yards and 2 touchdowns today for Troy. And for Nebraska, Andrew Bunch, he went 19-27 for 177 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions today. Maurice Washington, 14 carries, 92 yards. Stanley Morgan Jr., 5 receptions, 64 yards, and a touchdown. J.D. Spielman, 6 receptions, 45 yards, and a touchdown. And the reason why I'm talking about this game and the significance of this is, for the first time since 1957, Nebraska opens the season 0-2. That is huge. That is Major League big. And this is the once proud Nebraska program under Tom Osborne that used to win national championship after national championship after national championship. And this used to be the proud Nebraska program that Johnny Rogers, Mike Rozier, Eric Crouch, Tommy Frazier. Those teams are long, long gone. Nebraska football pride is out the window. And I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm disappointed in the Nebraska football program. This was a once proud program. It's going downhill. Somebody needs to wake Nebraska up and tell them, hey, you guys are 0-2 for the first time in almost 50, 60 years. This is embarrassing, and this is unacceptable to the Nebraska football program. And that's all there is to it. Now, you know what? Before I hand out game balls and go and hand out Game of the Day awards, I want to talk about something else. I want to go in a different direction. As you know, we had 3 games that were canceled because of Hurricane Florence. Number 14, West Virginia against North Carolina. Number 13, Virginia Tech against East Carolina. And also, number 18. Wait a minute here. Hold on. Let me back up. No. Let me correct myself. UCF, number 18, Central Florida versus North Carolina. Number 13, Virginia Tech versus East Carolina. And number 14, West Virginia against NC State. I've got the latest news, and I know it's kind of odd that I'm switching directions here for a few minutes, but I want to take a little time and talk about this. I was concerned about Hurricane Florence hitting the coast like no tomorrow. It hit with a vengeance today. The states of North and South Carolina are experiencing more rain than ever before of biblical proportions. 30 plus inches of rain has already fallen over North and South Carolina because of Hurricane Florence, which is now Tropical Storm Florence. And there's more to come. The sad part about this is, and I'm running scared, and I'm scared for those folks down there. They're sending in relief efforts are going to be coming in very, very soon. But I'm going to say this right now. Hats off to some of these folks. Hats off to a couple of teams today. I want to hand out a special game ball to Vanderbilt University for letting Ohio and Virginia play at their stadium in Nashville. Now, Virginia did beat Ohio 45-31 today. But what about, and also too, my hat's off to the University of Tennessee. They played UTEP today. And my hats go off to them because they opened the stadium with free tickets to come to the Tennessee game for the residents of North Carolina and South Carolina, which was displaced by the hurricane. My hats go off to Vanderbilt today, and also to the Vanderbilt University today, and to the University of Tennessee. You guys are something special to reach out to those displaced folks down in the Carolinas on this day. And I'm going to tell you, two special game balls go out to both Tennessee and Vanderbilt today. Now, I know those two are rivals. They're rival schools, but game balls go to the both of them as we think about it on this day. And also, too, I have three special game balls I want to give to. Those go to the folks of the owners of the Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Atlanta Motor Speedway in Atlanta, and the Talladega Super Speedway in Alabama for opening up your facilities for displaced residents of the Carolinas to give them a place to go to get out of the hurricane. I haven't gotten a word on the death toll yet, and we're probably not going to get an official tally for at least a few weeks, or possibly even a few days, or probably even be a few weeks. But my thing is, those folks need our prayers tonight. And I'm going to say this now. I've thought about this. When I saw where that hurricane was heading, I'm thinking there's going to be some affections. There's going to be a lot of people affected by this storm. Thank heavens, hopefully we'll be out of here in a few days. I know Ohio is going to be getting the remnants of it, but not as bad as Tropical Storm Gordon. I know I'm not a weatherman, but I'm worried about those folks down in the Carolinas and what they're going to be going home to. Storm surges of over 15, 20 feet. And my prayers go out to them this evening. Now, I want to take a few more minutes and I want to review some of these games. Ohio State. Ohio State TCU, if you're just joining me late. Dwayne Haskins, what can you say? 344 yards, 2 touchdowns. And the Ohio State defense did a lot of damage. And the reason why I'm going back to these games is because I'm going to give you some of my game ball nominees. And I'll hand out the game ball at the end. And I'll give the Game of the Day award at the end of the show. That's why I'm doing this. Dwayne Haskins, I'm going to give him a play. He's going to be one of my game ball nominees. 24-38, 344 yards, 2 touchdowns. Another game ball possibility is the Ohio State defense getting 2 defensive scores tonight. Another game ball nominee is Sean Robinson of TCU. Despite a losing effort of going 24-40 for 308 yards and a touchdown, he was picked off twice. I will kind of keep him on the back burner for now. But Darius Anderson, he's a front guy. 12 carries, 154 yards and 2 touchdowns tonight. He's one of my nominees. And I'm doing nominees for each game. And I'll give out my awards when I'm done. As a matter of fact, I'm going to write down on another piece of paper here. I should have wrote this down, but I apologize. But I'm just going to do it my way because I can do what I want when I want. It's my show. Okay. Dwayne Haskins. Game ball nominee, Ohio State, TCU. Dwayne Haskins. I apologize, folks, for kind of holding you up here, but I just want to make sure everything is right. Dwayne Haskins, OSU defense, and Sean Robinson. And for TCU, Sean Robinson. Let me write these down here. I should have did this earlier. I apologize, but what can I say? Darius Anderson. Okay. All right, that's the first game. The next game I want to write about in the nominees for the BYU-Wisconsin game. And let's take a look at those nominees. The nominees are, I have my nominees, Squally Canada, 11 carries. Hey, what's up, man? Hello from Texas. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show tonight. Now, my nominees are, for BYU, Squally Canada. Canada from BYU. And for Wisconsin, although they shouldn't be, yeah, believe it or not, Squally. Yeah. Did you watch that? I want to ask you a question, my man. Did you watch that game tonight? Did you watch that game today between BYU and Wisconsin? Because if you did, let me know. Let me know what you thought of it. Oh, you did watch that game today. What did you think of it, if it's okay if I can ask you? What did you think of it? Just because my curiosity is getting the best of me. Yeah, at least I got somebody to think about it. And my other nominee is Alex Hornibrook from Wisconsin. All right. BYU matched. Yes, they did. And I will say it again. BYU played Wisconsin football. That's exactly what they did today. And then BYU matched Wisconsin. Definitely. And now, I'm going to move on to LSU here in Alabama. LSU Auburn, for my nominees for those games. And my nominees are Joe Burrow. He's definitely a nominee. Joe Burrow and Jarrett Stidham. And my nominees for game balls from Vanderbilt Notre Dame are going to be Yeah, I saw that earlier. I was going to talk about it, but I figured I wouldn't. Yeah, I saw that game. Texas did destroy USC 37-14. And if this doesn't get Texas back in the top 25, I don't know what will. And I'm going to be honest with you. I wanted to talk about that game, but I held back because basically blowout games, I don't want to. Basically, my game ball for that game, for the Texas game, goes in the entire Texas football team. for playing great under Tom Herman tonight. That's very simple on that one. Now, my Vanderbilt Notre Dame nominees are Kyle Schumer, despite a losing effort. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I thought TCU would actually fare better than against Ohio State. And I'm going to be honest with you. They actually did for a while. I was actually very impressed with the way that TCU played against Ohio State in the beginning of the ball game. And I'm going to tell you now, if it weren't for those two defensive scores, TCU would have pulled off the upset of the year. And I'm going to say it now. Nick Bosa, the defense, despite the fact that Bosa left the game, Ohio State still found a way to win. It wasn't pretty, and there's no rule that says it has to be pretty. However, a win's a win. Just take it, be thankful, move on. But I'm also, too, Urban Meyer is going to be coming back next week. And the first decision and the first thing I would tell him, yeah, and that was very impressive. With Ohio State beating TCU without Urban Meyer, that was impressive. I don't care who you are. All right. Now that's out of the way here. All right. Okay, one more game here. You know what? Actually, that's plenty. Game of the Day award. That'll be the last one I hand out today. All right. I didn't do all the games. I did the 3 big ones. I did the 4 big ones that I talked about. I left Troy, Nebraska alone. But as far as now, here are my nominees for game ball awards. For Ohio State, Dwayne Haskins is one of my nominees for Ohio State in the OSU defense. Yeah, Herm Edwards is an interesting story out of Arizona State. I love that guy. And right now, Arizona State's playing very well. I don't have a score for that game. I'll try to get it for you. I apologize for that, but right now, Arizona State is playing. And I don't want to try to disrupt anything. Now it's time for my game ball nominees. For Ohio State, Dwayne Haskins in the Ohio State defense. Dwayne Haskins, 344 yards and two touchdown passes tonight in the Ohio State defense, getting 2 defensive scores tonight. And also for TCU, Sean Robinson and Darius Anderson. And the winner is for Ohio State. The game ball award goes to the Ohio State defense for getting those 2 big defensive scores. Without them, the Buckeyes lose. And that's all there is to it. The Ohio State defense gets the game ball for Ohio State in their big victory tonight. But on the losing side, I'm going to be fair. The game ball for TCU in the losing effort goes to Darius Anderson. 12 carries, 154 yards tonight, and 2 touchdowns. That's who gets the game ball for TCU. So once again, Ohio State. For the Ohio State side, the OSU defense gets the game ball in the Ohio State-TCU game for Ohio State with those 2 defensive scores. And Darius Anderson gets the game ball for TCU. 12 carries, 154 yards, and 2 touchdowns tonight in a losing effort. Now let's move on. Now, the nominees for my game ball, and I'm only handing out 1 game ball because there's only 2 nominees. My game ball, the game ball goes to Squally, Canada. Actually, you know what? I'm going to hand out 2 game balls to Wisconsin. Actually, the 2 game balls to BYU. The first game ball goes to Squally, Canada for 11 carries, 118 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And the other game ball goes to the BYU defense for stopping Wisconsin all game long. Yeah, oh, Canada, I love that, man. Thank you, the Latter-day Saint. Thank you for joining me tonight. Oh, Canada's right. I love it. I shouldn't sound like that, but anyway. Squally, Canada gets the game ball, the lone game ball for the BYU-Wisconsin game today. He gets the lone game ball. And now, the nominee, my 5-year-old went to bed. I'm free now. Oh, yeah. There you go. There you go. And now, the nominees I only have 2 nominees down for the LSU Auburn game. And they are Joe Burrow of LSU and Jared Steindem of Auburn. Joe Burrow, 15 of 34, 249 yards, and 1 touchdown. Jared Steinem, 16 of 28, 198 yards, a touchdown, and he was picked off twice. And the game ball for the LSU Auburn game goes to Joe Burrow, 15 of 34, 249 yards, and 1 touchdown. There's my game ball for the LSU Auburn game today. And now, let's go on to the Vanderbilt Notre Dame game. Yeah, believe it or not, I got to hand out a game ball for this game. The 2 nominees for the game ball for the Vanderbilt Notre Dame game are, for Notre Dame, Tony Jones Jr., 17 carries, 118 yards. For Vanderbilt, Kyle Schumer, 26 of 43, 326 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. And the winner of the game ball, despite in a losing effort, goes to Kyle Schumer of Vanderbilt. 26 of 43, 326 yards, a touchdown, and an interception in a losing effort. And that's the sad part about the whole thing. And now, let's move on. I got one more award I want to hand out. And this is the toughest one of the night. Because we have 3 nominees. We actually have 4 nominees for Game of the Day. And this is a hard one for me. And the winner the 4 nominees are Ohio State, TCU, and the 4 games I mentioned: Ohio State, TCU, BYU, Wisconsin, LSU, Alabama, and Vanderbilt, Notre Dame. And the winners are, and we have a tie. One of the winners is BYU, Wisconsin, because BYU came out of nowhere and shocked the Wisconsin Badgers. And the other winner is LSU Auburn, and you can thank Cole Tracy for hitting a 42-yard field goal to win the ball game today down in Auburn. So those are your 2 winners tonight. And my congratulations to all the nominees, all my game ball winners, and my 2 game of the day winners, and they've earned it. Ohio State, congratulations to all the winners. Thank you, the Latter-day Saints. Thank you so much for being with me. And you know what? It has been a great Saturday in college football. I'm tired. It's been a long day. And everybody realizes how hard I work on these shows every night. And I want to thank you guys for making this possible for me to do what I do best. And I'm going to be honest with you. It's been a great time. It's been a great show. It has been so much of... And it was great. I ate a Panda Express. I'm not much of a Panda Express guy myself. I'm more one of those guys that likes to sit at home, kick back, relax, and go to a place like that. I'm not much into those Panda Express places myself. But anyway, it has been a great Saturday in college football. If somebody would have told me we would have had BYU knock off Wisconsin, and if we would have had, yes, I did order pizza. Yes, I did, and I admit it. I ordered pizza tonight, and it was a great time for me and my sister tonight. She went to bed about 30 minutes ago. She's left me to do the show. What is your favorite pizza? I prefer pepperoni and sausage myself from Little Caesars. Actually, I do prefer Little Caesars, but I'm very open. But anyway, what a Saturday it was in college football. It's been a busy day for me. I'm beat down. There's going to be some major, Supreme to use a way to go, but not for me. But what a Saturday it's been in college football. And the bottom line is, it's been a great show. You guys have been a great group. I'll be back Friday night at 10 o'clock to get you ready for the next Saturday in college football. But I'm going to tell you right now, the top 10 is going to be suffering a major shakeup. My favorite pop is Pepsi. I've been a Pepsi guy for all my life, and I admit it. But anyway, and I apologize to you folks for putting me through this, but I got somebody asking me questions, and I'm okay with that. But let me tell you something. It has been a great show, a wonderful day. Two big upsets in college football. We almost had 3. And what a showdown between Ohio State and TCU tonight. And what a day it has been. All my nominees, Game Ball Awards, Dwayne Haskins, the OSU defense, I'm gonna give both of them the award. Darius Anderson gets the award for TCU in the Ohio State TCU game. Squally Canada came through along with the BYU defense. And for the LSU Auburn game, Joe Burrow was the winner of the game ball there. Kyle Schumer, despite a losing effort for Vanderbilt, gets the game ball for the Vanderbilt Notre Dame game. And of course, we had a tie for the game of the day between BYU, Wisconsin, and LSU, Auburn. And what a day it was. I want to thank you guys for being with me here tonight. You guys are a great group. Thank you so much for being with me here tonight. I will be back Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks. Good night. See you next week. I'll be back Friday night at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time for the pregame show, for the Friday night pre-show, and we'll have a lot of fun then, and I'll get you ready for next Saturday. Please join me Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. for my Facebook show. And you guys have a great night. Thank you so much for being with me. Have a great night, and God bless. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much, and have a great night, and God bless.